Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I went to film my February budget with me and then realized I had not done my January closeout. So welcome back. I think I'm filming this second, but I'm gonna post it first. So there we are. So excuse me if there's any repetition between the two, but I just thought I'd do a quick closeout of January with you. January felt like a long month. I know it does because it's post-Christmas and it is a long month. It's a 5-week month, but I thought I was doing quite well. And then I think because I thought I was doing quite well, I lulled myself into this false sense of security and I started spending a little bit more, and I really shouldn't have. So things got quite tight in that last week. I have tried to remember to put in red where we've really seen the differences. There was a reason why it happened, but we'll go into it. So let's just get this done real quick. In an attempt to make this easier, I'm going to try putting me in a box in the corner so I can feel like I'm talking to you instead of a disembodied voice. And I've put the exchange rates up for pounds, which is what I work in, dollars, Canadian and Australian, because I'm hoping that will cover most of the bases. Apologies if you're in Europe or somewhere else. I didn't want to put every currency I could think of, you know? But I know I have a habit of converting into like pounds to dollars, which doesn't work when you're actually converting from real. Once you get into the third currency, things get very complicated, so this is easier. So let's look at how this went. My salary was what I expected. It was $13.13, and I ended up sending home $980. What that equates, we will go into when we look at the other side of this. All my fixed bills were what I was expecting. I just have to check though. I said I was sending the phone home and I can't remember if I actually put that money on account or not. I will have to double check it. But as far as I remember, this was all as expected. It's not a problem. You can see though, with the variable spending, I've got some red. So basically what happened was I got sick a couple of weeks ago. Fortunately, healthcare in terms of sickness is covered, so I didn't have to pay anything for that. But I also had some dental issues. I woke up with a hole in my tooth one day and I was like, oh, great. Dental is not covered by my insurance. I didn't know how much it was going to be. I have a medical emergency fund for this reason, but if I could get away with just adjusting some of my finances and skimming off, then I would prefer to do that because it means I don't have to like pay with my credit card and then pay it off and all the rest of it. I can do that. Sometimes it's good to keep transactions going through, but I had already, as you will see in the next video, made a purchase on the credit card to account for that this month, and so I didn't want to put more money on there. I would have paid it off. It didn't make a big difference. It was more a mental block than anything else. So what I ended up doing, some of the categories that I hadn't used as much on, I ended taking out like 5 real here, 5 real there to top up my beauty health category, because the filling ended up costing me, I think it was about 18 real, something like that. She gave me a discount because she saw it wasn't covered, so she didn't charge me for something. And I was like, thank you. Like, she charged me for the materials, but there was something, some something that she didn't put on the bill. I was like, bless you, darling. You will see in my next video that I am also accounting for another cost next month, because she did say, because I hadn't been for my checkup, she did say I needed a clean and polish, just because you can see a little bit of build up there. So I'm going in for that on the 17th. But groceries, I spent the whole of my budget this month, because that was what I did. I usually go grocery shopping once a week and I get everything, but I was out with friends and we stopped in at the grocery store a couple of times and I was like, oh, I want to buy this for the kids. Oh, I want to do this, you know? I run an after school activity and I'd kind of promised them a treat, so I wanted to go in and get some things, stuff like that. And I was like, oh no, I'm doing fine, I can afford this. And then those little things add up. Transport, I hadn't used as much, so I took some out of that to go towards beauty and health. So that went down to 15, but I only used 10. School, I took some out, I took it down to 15, but then I used 14.10, so that was okay. And then I topped up beauty and health up to 55. Sorry, my eyes went a bit funny then. Up to 55 to cover that extra expense, because I usually have, I think, 30 in there. and I just needed a little bit more. Miss Comb stayed at 10 because I had already used it when I had to find this money, because it happened at the end of the month, of course it did. Spending stayed at 25, and I took 5 out of clothing to account again for the bump in beauty and health. So I didn't have to completely cut any category, I just had to keep an eye on it. So even with the cuts, I did manage to stay within category, even if it was very close with some of them. And I ended the month with just under 24 real left. In terms of my savings accounts back home, it happened pretty much as I was hoping it to. I did end up, I think I showed you, putting that 2,000 into my emergency fund, so it's nearly done now. My pension got its usual 845, and the future fund got 500. I'm hoping to bump those up soon. The only sinking fund I filled for last month was gifts, because gifts was down to like 12. And so I just topped it up to 50 because my brother's birthday was coming up. It's gone now, but I will put more in next month. Now, according to the total, that meant I was 133 over, but I did get a little bit more from YouTube this month, so I actually ended up 19 positive, which just went into my account buffer. So I'm pleased with how that went. I do need to start up, and you are going to see this, looking towards kind of costs that are going to be spread over next year. So some of the larger sinking funds, I'm going to be looking into how I can fund those, and things like taxes I'm going to have to start doing quite soon. I am thinking of the YouTube and the membership that I pay for, because it doesn't cost a lot. Like, I didn't even account for it in this budget, as you can see. I already have money in that account, only about $5 a month, but I'm thinking of just putting some in so that it's topped up, and then coming back to it in 5 or 6 months, just so I don't have to worry about it too much, a bit like I do with my phone. And then I can just really focus on the big things. I am trying to be a bit more consistent with my YouTube output, particularly on my other channel, because it just means that my income is a little bit higher. I do estimate for YouTube income. I tend to estimate about 300, 350. This year in my financial goals, I said I think it was 4,500, because at that point I had already been paid, or if not paid, already knew what was coming in January. And then that meant that that I had already made the extra, so I estimated it a little bit higher. But I would like to earn a tiny bit more with that every month, to make sure that things that are not urgent but I would just like can be accounted for. Sorry, I've just gotten a message that I need to deal with. So I'm going to leave you there, and you will have the February open quite soon. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.